What if I told you that most of the thoughts running through your head are not even yours? That the voice telling you to stay quiet, play small, follow the rules, keep the peace isn't your truth. It's your programming. And that every time you doubt yourself, you shrink your power, you silence your voice, you're not being careful. You're being controlled. This episode is your mental jailbreak because today we're going from programming to power. And it starts with taking your mind back. So grab your cuppa and let's get started.
Welcome to Sip Tea with me. I'm your host, Lisa Schoenthal. Think of me as that fun and inspirational auntie or sister you always wish you'd had. This is the space where we hang out, brew up meaningful conversations about health, wealth, relationships, and travel because life is too short not to live with purpose, passion, and abundance. If you're ready to chase your dreams, find your balance, and make a massive impact, you're at the right table. I'll be sharing real stories, life hacks, and epic wisdom to keep you mindful, energized, and connected. It's all about inspiring and empowering you. So grab your favorite cuppa as we spill the tea on how to create a life that's transformational, empowering, and authentically you, 100%. Let's drink to that and get started.
Dear one, welcome back to Sip Tea with me. I'm Lisa, your host and your transformational guide and authenticity advocate. And this is episode 23, part 2 of the Summer Sovereignty series. If you have been feeling the shift, the tug, the unraveling of the questions about what's going on right now, this space is definitely for you. Last week in episode 22, we cracked open the idea of sovereignty, what it really means to reclaim your power, especially during the potent energy of the summer solstice. This week, we zoom in on something that affects everything. It's your thoughts, your beliefs, and your mental landscape, because you can't create a sovereign life with all those programmed thoughts. This episode is called From Programming to Power, the mental shift that changes everything. And let me tell you, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So this mental programming, let me ask you something and really feel into this. How much of what you think is actually yours? Your beliefs, your fears, your desires, are they rooted in your truth or were they handed to you? Were they taught to you? Let's go ahead and break this down. There's all different ways that thoughts or ideas or belief systems can be passed down, and we're just going to touch on some of the majors. So the first one that's pretty obvious is religion. Many of us were handed belief systems before we could even spell our names. And while spiritual tradition can be beautiful, it can also be used to suppress shame and silence. If you never chose it, how can it really be yours? So it's interesting, right? In my family, my brother and I at a young age were exposed to a lot of things. I also have a younger brother and sister from my stepfather, who is really just my dad because he's the one that's around. They were baptized because my stepfather and his family were Catholic. So my older brother and I were not baptized. We were exposed to many things. My grandmother grew up in a Protestant family. I had the opportunity to have Jewish friends and go to temple when I was young. We even had our grammar school teacher used to come and pick us up and take us to a Methodist church. My grandmother, Pansy, would also take us to the Church of Religious Science, which was super groovy. And we just had a lot of exposure to things. Later in life, I was really fascinated by religion, although I would never say I'm a religious person. I do enjoy the history of it, the thread that ties all religions together and the belief systems. I decided to study that. A lot of theology for a while. I was probably in my late 20s when I began to kind of gravitate towards that. Also in my travels, I've been completely fascinated by traveling to Turkey and to Indonesia and seeing the Muslim cultures, traveling to India to experience Hinduism. And of course, I have my yoga background, so a lot of that is based in that. I also am really fascinated with Buddhism and got the opportunity to travel to Thailand. And I also have to say, I absolutely love aspects of Judaism. And my grandmother, Gloria, was super duper Catholic. So we had a lot of exposure to being around Norbertine priests and just a lot of beautiful religion, I was always attracted to the ritual and to their processes and beliefs. So I had personally a lot of exposure, but my little brother and sister, they were actually baptized before they even knew what to think or what ideas were their own. Then they went through CCD, which is a learning system that the Catholic religion has. And it's very fascinating. Although our family wasn't extremely religious, there were aspects of this that were imprinted on my younger siblings from that age, and on my father too, right? His family was Catholic, so they grew up going to church. He went to an all Catholic private school. So religion was a part of his life and that belief system. And sometimes we have to shed those ideas. Like Catholicism, one of their labels is that there's a lot of guilt involved. There's a lot of fire and brimstones. And I'm definitely not beating up on the Catholic religion. I'm just using it as an example. Whereas the Buddhists, they believe that you cause your own suffering and that you should never inflict harm on anything else living. So it's just interesting belief systems. I don't know where you grew up or what systems were and ideas were imparted on you, but it's just a place to kind of take a step back and ask yourself, are those my beliefs? Do I really feel that in my heart when I go to church? Does it really resonate with me when I'm receiving the message from the Bible or the Torah or whatever you're learning from? Does that resonate with me? Or is it sometimes in your gut, there's something that's like, I don't really jive with that. So just take a look at it. Okay, along the same lines is our family systems. Some of the most limiting thoughts we carry around come from the people who we love. That's a really tricky thing. It's a really tricky situation. We inherit phrases like, money doesn't grow on trees. That's just how our family is. We don't talk about that. And they become facts in our subconscious until we question them. Something that was said when my stepfather came into our lives was children are supposed to be seen and not heard. My mom was really young when she had us, and we spent a lot of time with my grandmother, and we had a lot of freedom. I've talked about this before. It was a really awesome time. And my stepfather came from a more rigid place where there was more discipline. And I think it was really hard for him to try to wrangle in my brother and I because we had so much freedom. So there was a lot of children should be seen and not heard. And that was different for my brother and I because we had really big voices and big ideas, and we had been encouraged to speak our minds and kind of explore ourselves. And then parts of that were shut off. And that really makes an imprint later in life. So another thing is I love this comment about the money. Money doesn't grow on trees. I didn't really all the way get that in my family, but I did see how money caused division. When we were young, we didn't really have any money. And then eventually, my stepfather's family was very successful, and we could see how the money and the business, they all work together. They have a very amazing, thriving shipyard that's been in business over 120 years, and it's generational. And of course, generational things in our family are hard too. You try to bring new ideas, and the generation before says, no, we don't do that. And the next generation that comes forward wants to bring their new ideas, and the next and the next. So there was a lot of surprising things around money. Also, when my partner and I were together the first time, he was also very successful in his business. And the message that I ran in my head was that money was power, that money was more important than emotional health, emotional wealth. So those were some things that kind of got played into my belief system. And I had to really look at myself and say, are those my beliefs? Are those just things I'm experiencing around me? Is that how I'll use money? Is that what I believe about emotional wealth and mental wealth? So I had to really kind of backpedal and find my own way through that. Another way that we are kind of programmed, so to speak, is in school and society. Oh my gosh, from day one, we are taught to begin to color inside the lines, to downplay ourselves, to get good grades in school, to follow the rules, to be a good girl, to sit still, to shut our mouths, to follow the leader, to make the ideas we're being taught our own. But the truth is you were never meant to fit in. You were meant to be your own sovereign self. You were meant to figure out your own ideas. Our leaders and our elders are what I believe could be more tribal. They could be more of sharing the generational wisdom to help you grow and uncover who you are. It's not about telling you how to be or sharing your belief system. It's about asking, how does this feel when we talk about this? How does this feel to you? What are you called to? When we're in the classroom, is history really lighting you up? Is writing a story really lighting you up? Is going to ceramics class lighting you up? Is lunch hour and social settings lighting you up? For me, I was on student council and I was class president, and I got to plan and be the leader of a lot of events. So I got to be in front of large groups. I got the opportunity to work with my classmates to organize really exciting, energetic, charismatic class competitions and things like that. It was really fun. And then later in life, I became an events planner. So, maybe I should have been paying more attention in algebra, which was a huge challenge for me, but maybe not, because having to go to those classes and stress out about that and how my parents disappointed in me and how my teachers disappointed in me, that was not my expertise, and that was never where I was going. And think of all those hours I sat trying to absorb that information, beating myself up, feeling bad about myself when I really just needed to dive into the things that felt good. And thankfully, I had these beautiful people that were my wise elders and mentors. One of them, Jerry McIlvain, who was my activities counselor. He's passed away now, but he brings me to tears almost. He made such an imprint in my life and reminded me so many times of my power and my strength, and to keep going and to keep speaking out and to keep leading and to take defeat. And there were some moments where he had to sit me down and really talk about what it means to fail and how important it is to fail with a certain level of understanding and grace. So anyways, we have school and society. We have to sometimes look at those beliefs that were handed to us in that area and ask, are these my beliefs at this point in time? And as parents, if you're a parent, it's also important to ask, when I send my child to learn from someone else, is this what I want them to be learning? Is this what is going to benefit them in the future? Is this going to allow them to live their truth, to be their most authentic self? Okay. Another one that's so obvious at this point in time is our media and our politics. Okay. I'm not going down any political road. I have to trust my gut when I am absorbing these things. I have to find many outlets to take in the information. And then I have to ask myself, what do you believe to be real and true for yourself? I personally believe that we, in our lifetimes, if you're on the planet right now, and you're going to stay on the planet for a little while, we are going to see peace. We are going to see transformation. We are going to see people really rising and becoming so absolutely powerful in their own right. And that's why this sovereignty series was so important to me, just to remind people, maybe this isn't even in your wheelhouse. Maybe you don't hear anyone talk about sovereignty. Maybe you don't hear anyone say the media is lying to you. Maybe you do, because our president right now is telling us that for a long time, but maybe you have been indoctrinated into one of the political sides from the time you were young, and you just believe what you've been told to believe. Maybe you watch one news channel and they tell you the same messaging. It's really important that we find and navigate our own way through these things. I mean, media and politics tells us that we should fear things, because when we fear and we're in fear, we aren't our most powerful selves. We separate based on color, on religion, on political party. And when we're separated, we no longer have the strength of sovereign people. We have to remember that fear is like a drug, and they want us to stay tapped into it. The system knows it. The more you react, the easier you are to manipulate. Your anxiety, your outrage, your hopelessness, that's how they want you to be. They want you to be weak. They want you to be sick. They want you to be scared. It's such a big situation. Could you imagine if we just stopped eating into all of that, how strong we would be together. I have so many things to say around this. When I was younger and I was married at a young age, I was married to the first Tom, T1, and he was an LAPD police officer. Thank God he's retired now. Uh, right when we were married, the Rodney King riots happened, and he was based in South Central LA. This was the first time I really understood that the media was lying to us. When I turned on the media and I watched what was happening, he was gone for days. I had no idea where he was, if he was okay. But when he did reappear, he told me what was actually going on the streets. And I was like, that is not what the media is saying. That's not what the news is saying. There's so many lies. And so I had the opportunity really young to learn firsthand not to trust what the media was feeding me. And in case you don't know it, all of the media channels, the mainstream media, is owned by just a handful of people. So you have to think about that. You have to follow the money. You have to follow the motivation. It's just a handful of people telling us what to believe, and not just our television, but also our radio stations and our newspapers, and a lot of our magazines are handled by the same people that have the same belief system, that want the same level of power. So just keep that in mind when you're making your decisions. Think about how it would be if we went back to actually talking to each other. What if we came back to asking questions, to curiosity, to the goal of conversations being, how can we find our common ground rather than how can we divide? How can I get the power? How can I be right? What if we just came back to a place of curiosity, question asking, understanding, empathy? How would that be? I don't know how we've gotten so far away from that, but I truly believe in my heart that these are the goals that would be really beneficial to our personal transformation and growth if we could just embrace them again. So what do you believe? I'd love to hear about that. So another thing that really is causing us to be less sovereign is our social media and algorithms. This is the one that really slides under the radar. Social media doesn't reflect you. It actually shapes you. What you see, what you click, what you linger on, it's all curated. It's all planned. It's a giant master algorithm. And over time, it programs your thoughts. You're probably like, how does it do that? I mean, just think about it. So let's just take something that's like benign, that doesn't incite people to get all crazy. Let's talk about how you clicked on a gluten-free recipe and you're like, oh, those brownies look really good. And then it turns out it's gluten-free, and you're not gluten-free and you don't make anything gluten-free, but you're like, those look good. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to save that. I'm going to share it with my friend who also loves brownies. You're kind of on a health kick. And so now the algorithm says this person wants a bunch of gluten-free recipes. They want people who teach about being gluten-free. So then the next thing you know, your feed is filled with this, and you're starting to think, wow, I should never eat bread again. Even though you've never had a problem with it, it's never bothered you. And again, I'm a health and wellness coach as well. I have a certification in nutrition, and I believe we all have to do what makes us feel best, because at some point we're going to talk about sovereignty around our food and our body and our health issues. But let's just say that this person is telling you all about why gluten is the devil. So the next thing you know, you're beginning to shop in the market and you're beginning to buy gluten-free crackers and gluten-free cookies and all the things. And now your body actually isn't feeling very good, because a lot of those gluten-free products are actually processed. They're highly processed and they have ingredients that aren't natural to our body. And sometimes that can make you not feel good as well. So you have to question and ask yourself, is this right for me? But if that's all that you're seeing in your feed, then you might be making those choices. So we all kind of know this, but I think we don't really completely understand the programming that is happening through our social media and how it was designed to do that. Because your feed is likely feeding your fear. It's feeding your fears around comparison. It may be confusing you, like I said, and you have to really pause and ask yourself, is this supporting my sovereignty, or is it just hijacking it? What are my own beliefs and what aren't? What is this making me feel when I'm scrolling? Do I feel less than? Do I feel like I'm too heavy? I'm not smart enough. I haven't started my business fast enough. I'm not making enough money. Am I not creating the right content? I mean, it's all of these questions that social media and algorithms have you questioning yourself. So let's just say you had the opportunity to pull back for an hour, a day, a week, a month. How would it feel to go back to just having your own ideas, to trusting your own gut? That's one of my favorite subjects, trusting your gut. You can pull back and ask yourself and really check in. How do I feel after 15 minutes of scrolling, after an hour of scrolling? How do I feel about even just my time wasted? Maybe I learned something amazing and it's helped me be more sovereign. Okay, I need to lean into that more. So just be mindful that social media and algorithms are designed to steer you in a certain direction and to have you mindlessly buy things, mindlessly lean into politics, mindlessly lead into food choices. So just keep that all in mind. But really, what's the cost of not choosing your own thoughts? I mean, this is what it's all about, right? Because when your mind is running on someone else's programming, it's not just inconvenient. It's super dangerous. It limits your capacity to love. It kills your clarity. It quiets your own inner voice and truth. It keeps you small and anxious and disconnected. It keeps you seeking approval that you never ever needed. With the approval, think about how we are about all those likes and all those comments and all of that. That's kind of one of the things that happens. Mental sovereignty is the gate. It's the door that opens you up. The thought is the first frequency of manifestation. Your thoughts are things. Your thoughts are what allow you to create, to feel powerful, to be the most amazing you can be, the most unique, amazing you. So how can we reclaim this thought sovereignty? Well, we'll just break it down in some simple steps that you can start working on today. So first of all, like I said, awareness, observation. What thoughts are on repeat in your head? Whose voice are you hearing? Maybe it's your teacher, your parent, your coach, your president, whoever it is, your boss. Is it loving? Is that thought yours? And would you choose it right now if you really sat there and thought about it? So as a flight attendant, I think this all the time because when you're a flight attendant, you work on a lot of policies and procedures, right? I just flew this trip and we had this very interesting purser, which is our lead person on the trip. They're not our boss. They just happen to be the one on the microphone. And this person was normally an international purser, which means they've actually gone through a training and they usually fly international flights. But we were just on a silly little domestic flight across the country in the middle of the night. And when we fly at night, we have some variations from our policy because people are trying to sleep. We're on a 4.5-hour flight. They need to wake up and be somewhere. So we usually keep the lights real low. We try to be quiet. We sometimes modify our service to allow people to sleep, but this purser wasn't having it. She wanted the lights on full blast. All these things were going on. And it was really interesting to see how she was super attached to the policies and procedures, how the other three of us were using our own awareness, situational awareness, we call it in our business. We were using our own awarenesses and our experiences of really serving the customers. And she was just not having it. She just didn't care. She was so programmed by our policies and procedures. There was nothing that was unsafe about what we were doing. It was really just more empathetic and thoughtful, but it's really stirred up some conflict. And it's like we have to decide what are our beliefs and what are programmed into us. So once you have that observation, you want to go ahead and interrupt that thought. You want to say to yourself, that's an old story and I'm not subscribing to it anymore. You want to pause. You want to mute. You want to unfollow. Like I said before, you want to take a walk maybe, and you want to definitely take some deep breaths. Say to yourself, this thought doesn't align with where I am or where I choose to go. That brings us to choice. Step number 3, choose. Choose new, aligned thoughts that support the life that you're creating. Speak to yourself with respect and intention. Use your voice as a tuning fork. for your frequency. And just remember, you can always change your mind. Maybe there was something you believed for a really long time and it no longer resonates because you've grown, you've experienced, you've seen something different, and you want to change your belief system. That is perfectly okay. And you know what's even better? Just to let people know, I don't subscribe to that anymore. It doesn't work for me anymore. I've grown out of that. I'm not that person anymore. Thought sovereignty is a daily soul maintenance program. We have to constantly check ourselves and constantly ask ourselves what is going on right now. So why does this matter right now? You're probably asking, Lisa, why are you so passionate about this right now at this moment in time? I've always believed in sovereignty. I've always sort of been powerful in my own little way since I was kind of a little girl. I just was fortunate enough to just kind of come on the planet that way. But it's not that I haven't seen myself in all of this, and I see myself in all of it every day. But right now, this shift we're making in humanity, as they say, the war isn't really about what's going on the planet. It's really a spiritual war. It's really about the powers that be trying to hold us down and trying to control us, while our spirit wants to be really bold and powerful. And that's just it in a nutshell, but it's really important right now. This is bigger than just mindset work. This is spiritual leadership, and we need everyone to lead now. We don't need to turn and look to one man at the top of all things, or one politician, or whoever it is, your parents. We don't need to look to one person right now. This is about each and every one of us stepping into our own role as spiritual leaders. Because when we reclaim our thoughts, we reclaim our power. You reclaim your power. And when all of us do that, we make a massive shift in the world. It's so super exciting. It's actually incredibly simple, and we only need a small percentage of the people on the planet to really take on their power, their sovereign power, and then others will follow. It's just this. Imagine a world where we could each think for ourselves. We could speak our truth and listen and talk to each other. We could build all of the things we ever dreamed of from clarity. We could share our ideas and our passions and our purpose from our soul. We could create anything we ever could imagine and beyond with our intentions. That world, it isn't some far off dream. It's what happens when we unplug from programming and plug into purpose. Every time you shift a thought, every time you rise in alignment, you make it safer for someone else to do the same. Your sovereignty is part of the collective liberation. Let's set ourselves free. So let's go into a little bit of something we can practice and some affirmations. Let's just breathe together for a moment. Place your hand on your heart. Take a deep breath in and out. What thought are you ready to release today? What thought are you ready to release today? What belief no longer belongs in your body, your business, your relationship, or your mind? What belief no longer belongs in your body, your business, your relationship, or your mind? Now go ahead and say these with me. I choose thoughts that align with my truth, not my programming. I choose thoughts that align with my truth, not my programming. My mind is mine. I realize what no longer belongs to me. My mind is mine. I release what no longer belongs to me. I speak to myself with love, clarity, and sovereign authority. I speak to myself with love, clarity, and sovereign authority. Go ahead. Let that settle in. Let it rewire your mind. And I know it's not easy, you guys. I still do these processes every day. Things come up and I question myself. Everything from my body. I mean, I'm a 56-year-old woman. My body is different. Saying things to myself like, why can't you get rid of this last couple menopause pounds? Why can't you fit back into things in your closet? Why haven't you done this? Every day I tell myself, is that my thought? How do you actually feel? Do you feel strong? Do you feel powerful? Do you feel energized? Okay. Some days I do. And some days I'm like, whoa, what do I need here? Do I need a nap? I talk to myself all the time, people. I mean, I have these great conversations with myself. And it used to be this inner judgmental voice, which is also part of the programming. But now my voice is more curious. I ask myself, what do you need? Do you need to go to work out with weights today? Do you need to eat some carbs? Do you need to not have carbs at all and load up on some protein? Do you need to just be with your friends for a minute? Do you need to sleep and just forget about it? So it's really asking yourself questions. I've asked myself these questions about my business. Am I smart enough? Why am I doing this at this age? Is there so much competition? Do I look the right way? Do I say the right things? Should I do the podcast? Will my family judge me? Will everyone be mad about it? Will I lose the approval from the people I love? I mean, I've learned so many lessons about approval over and over. There's a lot of episodes that I've already done about that, but I really am like less and less subscribing to that in my relationship. What is my belief system around my relationship? Again, is money power? Is emotional wealth power? Why don't those two things just go together? Why don't they flow with ease? A lot of the things with politics right now is like, do I believe that? Did somebody else program that into me? Is that even really the truth? Is there something in me that knows there's something negative when it's really something positive? I was talking to these so sweet young flight attendants on the jump seat, and we were just, talking about some of the things that are going on right now politically. And they have a totally different perspective, right? They're a whole, actually, one of them was like 2 generations behind me. So I'm Gen X, and the next one was a millennial, and then the next one was Gen Z. And very different belief systems, right? And some of it was based on very minimal amount of knowledge. Some of it was based on gut instincts. I love to hear from them. I love to know what the next generations feel and believe. And then some of it was me saying, in my wisdom, what I would like to share with you is that a lot of times things look like wrong or negative, and yet they're actually for the greater good. Sometimes things are happening that we don't like that are actually what needs to happen to allow people to wake up and rise. That's so much of what's going on right now. Sometimes the people who place themselves in the good guy role are actually not the good guys. So it's all, again, about kind of just coming back into it. And I'm just telling you guys, I wrestle with my own sovereignty and my own thoughts all the time. In closing, I just want to say this. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are becoming. And now you're thinking for yourself again. So this is how we rise. Next week, we are diving into digital sovereignty because tech, scroll fatigue, and algorithm influence, that's mental energy too. And we already started talking about it in today's episode, but this one is so wide, we are going to expand the ideas around it just for greater knowledge. So are you ready to take this work deeper? If you're feeling the pull to unplug from the noise, reconnect with your truth, and rise in your full feminine power, this is your invitation. I would love it if you joined me and Leah this October 1st through November 6th in Mexico for La Vida Sagrada. It's a sacred, soul-filled gathering designed to help you remember who you are, reclaim what's yours, and rise in community with women walking the same transformational path. Expect deep connections, powerful breakthroughs, ocean rituals, soul nourishment, movement, rest, and realignment. This isn't just a retreat, it's a return to your sovereign self. This is an amazing time in Mexico. It is over Dia de los Muertos, which is the Day of the Dead, and we are going to be celebrating this time of remembrance, rebirth, and radiant transformation. Space is limited to keep it intimate and powerful, and you don't want to miss it because we have all these wonderful things happening. We're going to build altars. We're going to take part in the parade. We are going to eat amazing food. We're going to gather in the sun. We're going to move our bodies and dance. We're also going to swim with dolphins, and we are going to take a gorgeous sunset sail as the full moon rises. If you need more details about that, please reach out to me at www.lisaschoenthal.com. It's all in the show notes. You can find me on socials. Your next level isn't waiting. It is already calling to you. And hey, if this episode stirred something in you, please go ahead and share it. I would love for this show to continue to grow. Share it with your sister, your group chat, your partner, your people, your tribe. You never know whose sovereignty will be inspired and empowered by your own. Remember, your mind is yours. Your truth is safe here. Come back sovereign. I can't wait until next week when we brew up another pot of tea and continue this amazing and powerful Summer Sovereignty series. From my heart to yours, much love from Lisa.